Happy New Year 2021 to everyone, wherever you're watching us from. I think in some places the New Year is just coming. Here in Sub-Saharan Africa, it's a brand new 2021. It is a big, hearty congratulations to all of you for having made it to 2021. We've had not so memorable 2020, very difficult for all of you, for all of us. We've lost loved ones, we've lost work, we've lost business, but somehow we've made it to 2021. So it is important that we are grateful that we are alive. It's important for us here from the League of the Genuine that we continue to give you information, to supply you with information about genuine products that you need to consume, and to warn you about the dangers of fake products which are all over the market. So we thank you for those who were with us the last year. We thank you for the support. We thank you for viewing. We encourage you to view. For those who are seeing us for the first time, we would encourage you to stick to this show, because this is a show that sustains your life. This is a show that wants to keep you safe. This is a show that ensures that we push back, that we fight against counterfeits and fake products, which unfortunately is becoming a new normal. This is a continuation from the program we had at the end of December 2020. We were talking about counterfeits in food, and we had a discussion on counterfeits with Agnes the last time, and the gentleman from the Traders Association. We were talking about agro inputs. We are continuing that discussion on agro inputs, and today I have a special guest who is opening up 2021. This gentleman is so special. He's the first guest we've had who asked for makeup on the show. Mr. Solomon Seruwo. You wanted makeup. You use it a lot?
Not really. I later got advised that this program is about genuine, okay, and makeup would rather obscure
your true.
Exactly.
So is this the true Seruwo Solomon, or
this is the
there is a touch-up?
And I quit the request about counterfeit.
Okay, so welcome Solomon. Solomon, again, a friend of mine in the struggle against counterfeits. Known him for quite some time. You are head of sales and marketing at Bukola Chemical Industries.
Marketing and business development.
Marketing and business development.
Sure.
So can you tell the viewers what Bukola Chemical Industries is about?
Well, I wish also to say a Happy New Year to everyone who is watching us from wherever you are. Like Fred said, 2020 was quite tough. We have lots of hope for 2021. We don't want to say this quite loud, because at the beginning of last year, many people are saying 2020 is my year. So 2021, we are a bit quiet, but quite strategic in our approaches. Well, Bukola Chemical Industries Limited is currently, we want to say, truly we are the leading importer, distributor of quality.
Importer, distributor, yes. Not manufacturer?
No. Importer, distributor. Our vision later is to get into formulation. But we currently import, do repackaging, sizable packages for the market of a range of what we call crop protection products in Uganda, but we also have presence in the region. We have registrations in Tanzania. We have made more registrations in Malawi. Our products are on the markets of countries like Burundi, Rwanda, Congo, South Sudan. So we quite have a presence in the region, but our core business is crop protection products. We are out to help farmers raise a good crop, get good incomes, and improve their livelihoods.
Okay, so you talk about crop protection. That could be a fairly new concept to some people. So can you just break it down? How important is crop protection to food safety, food security, and food sovereignty?
Perfect. You put it well. Three things you mentioned, and I want to respond to that again, giving us three more things. Crop protection, as it sounds, is basically about ensuring that you are taking care of your crop through its growing cycles to ensure that at the end of the day you have meaningful yields. So the importance of crop protection is derived from what we call the disease triangle, which has three aspects. We talk about the environment, we talk about the crop, and we talk about what we call the pathogens. So in an environment like what we normally experience in our country, where it's often warm, a bit humid, disease and several pests could easily thrive. And that means growing a crop and just leaving it to the environment to ensure that this crop grows without any interferences is quite hard. You will notice even at the moment, even if you grow a crop in your backyard, you'll either find a leaf has been bitten, or it's left in tatters, or it has all sorts of appearances in colors, and maybe leaf spots and things like, or some of them actually dry out. So the crop protection concept is about ensuring that you are taking care of this crop, you are managing this crop to ensure that it is not eaten by insect pests, it is not attacked by disease, it is growing with all the requisite nutrients, and at the end of the day it is able to give you the yields, which is food.
Which you require. But from what you're describing, it looks like you aren't interfering with the natural progression of the crop. You know, we like organic. Organic, we are told, is something that grows naturally, and we're all looking for organic foods. Now you're here telling us that we actually don't have organic because we are putting chemicals or something.
This is what is interesting. You see, the concept of organic does not exactly spell that we don't use protection. There's also organic protection. There are organic crop protection products which are fetched from nature, from the environment. The other crop protection we talk about is what we call the synthetic, where we have manufactured, or a molecule or a substance, a crop protection product, is rather manufactured from the environment. So what normally used to happen was that God has so beautifully created nature that he has put several organisms quite in balance. But the several interferences in the environment within which we live tends to throw populations out of balance, such that the disadvantageous ones, the disastrous ones, tend to become more proliferous. The populations increase beyond those that are able to put them in check. So once that happens, then you experience what we call disease.
So you're saying that we have organic chemicals?
Yeah, sure, absolutely you have. I'll give you an example right away. Neem, or what we call neem oil, extracted directly from neem, with so many what we call limnoids. There are chemical substances in there that are active against some insect pests. So those, and you've had people use such things as chili, people are using ash, and so many things, and these are natural substances. So certainly, even with what we call organic, there are crop protection products
that are organic, and then there are those which are inorganic.
And now the good news is that those two are part of our products portfolio.
Inorganic and organic.
Perfect.
And we need them
Sure.
to ensure crop protection.
Sure.
Last year I saw something, I think it was in December or November, you had an advertiser's editorial or supplement.
Yeah.
I don't know what you are celebrating. You even won some award last year.
Sure.
It was fighting counterfeits or what?
Well, it wasn't really fighting counterfeit, but maybe that was also part of it. Now, what happens year-round, Ugandans, at the end, through the Visionaries of Uganda Awards, vote for the best visionary cultural input services provider.
So you won that?
Yes, and this is the fourth consecutive time.
For me, the thing I would like to pick out on that story, which I saw, I think in the New Vision, you said you were introducing a new organic product. I call it an organic product called Golden Drop or whatever.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, what was this about? The story wasn't clear.
Well, like I mentioned, our development of products tends to be driven by what transpires within the farming or the agricultural ecology. So we realized that there's a lot of indiscriminate application
So did you
of
launch
pesticides.
Golden Drop?
Yes, we did.
What does it do?
So Golden Drop is an organosilicon-based surfactant, But more than a surfactant, Golden Drop is a product that is supposed to help farmers ensure that the spray application that is done adheres to the leaves and does not flow off.
Adheres to the leaves?
Yes.
Meaning it sticks to the leaf?
It sticks and stays there. And the essence is, the term is rain fastness, that this chemical requires, that whatever you have applied requires a bit of time to stay on the leaf for absorption to take place, to stay on the insect pest for it to absorb the chemical. So what happens under normal circumstances without Golden Drop is that when farmers spray, this drop remains as a droplet due to surface tension forces, that if wind swings the leaf, the drop will
fall off,
get into the ground. Now, because the ground is not the target, chances are you're going to contaminate below ground life, including contamination of groundwater. So to be able to ensure that we're taking care of the environment, one, reducing the amount of pesticide, because that is also a concern that farmers are using, we thought it wise that we need to introduce this Golden Drop to make sure that we are protecting the crop, we are protecting the environment, and we are saving the farmer on the quantity of pesticides that they are spraying, on the time they are taking to spray, and on the water that they need
Solomon,
to use to spray.
you're having Golden Drop, you have Dudu, you have Weedmaster. Weedmaster in particular is counterfeited a lot. So before you run to put more products on the market, what steps are you taking to ensure that those products don't get counterfeited? Because there's evidence that the products you already have in your stockpile are being counterfeited.
Well, the very unfortunate circumstance surrounding these very good products that farmers have been using for quite a long time. And when you talk about counterfeit, then that means there's a lot at stake, both with the company's products, with the farmers, and of course, possibly if we are to extend it, with the government. So the question about what we are doing about ensuring that we tend to control this counterfeit issue is quite important to
in
us.
The old products and Golden Drop,
yeah,
the new one.
With the gold. So what happens is usually counterfeiting is quite now a culture. It is a way some bad characters have decided to behave. And the
culture you have contributed to growing.
And unfortunately, no. That is not something that a company such as Bukola Chemical Industries or any genuine company that is here to stay would do. What the company has done already and what we continue to do, one, I need to set the record straight that we are committed to ensuring that we deliver quality that the farmer deserves because they make an investment. We have taken trouble to do education to the farmers because if you have read around and possibly also done some research, you notice farmer knowledge is quite an important aspect when it comes to fighting counterfeit. So continuous education, and that's why we are here. I want to thank you already before even the talk show comes to the end. This gives us an opportunity to tell the farmer out there that, hey, there's a problem which you need to watch out. Being vigilant to us is the first step. You need to know that there's an issue which you need to look out for. So we are doing continuous education. We are also trying as much as possible to innovate, bring on new technology that makes it a little difficult for counterfeiting to happen. It's unfortunate that some of this is beaten way earlier than we thought. But that kind of innovation and communicating the same is some of the things that we're doing. We have put a few special features to some of our products to ensure that these key features the farmers can use to identify. And as usual, we continue to encourage farmers out there and the users of crop protection products to always purchase from genuine sources. Yes.
Now, Solomon, it's a new year, people are at home, they're watching you. Let's be honest, Bukola is not a very well-known brand to many people. People know Coca-Cola, you know, MTN. Those are the top of the mind awareness. So can you tell somebody sitting home with his family watching this show, how relevant is Bukola to the food that they are eating? Where are your products used to which foods? that are served in a home?
Now, this is quite a story, a very interesting one. Whether you are a farmer, but as long as you eat, definitely Bukola is important to you. How? Of course, we all appreciate how majority of our population is employed in agriculture. I think the current estimate is about 65. A big drop, very unfortunate. But majority are into agriculture. And we all eat food. You asked a question earlier, but the components you included in that question were food safety and food security.
And food sovereignty.
And sovereignty. Well, that's quite an interesting terminology there. But like I mentioned, it is very hard to grow food in Uganda particularly, elsewhere as well, but in Uganda particularly, without protecting it against
from pests.
Diseases and pests. It is hard. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it is hard.
What about in the greenhouses?
Now, what that means, they
pests?
they still need to, because basically, the greenhouse also puts together a very conducive environment for some pest species to thrive.
I thought a greenhouse is protected.
Basically,
there is no pest that gets in.
Yes, but the interference, the interference of the operators or the management could introduce pests.
The pests within the house.
Yes, from the media, it's a little bit complicated. So, Bukola Chemical Industries Limited is supporting the farmer, the producer of food, with tools that are enabling that farmer produce the food that you eat. Bukola Chemical Industries Limited extends its service to walk the journey of food production with this farmer to ensure that they are producing sufficient food for you to eat, for you to get into the market. Without Bukola Chemical Industries Limited, food production would be at stake. Reason being, diseases would get in the way of yields, and we know certainly there are pests that are estimated to cause between 50 to 100% yield loss. Yes. So if you can't intervene, then your food source is at stake. Two, when in the process of applying crop protection products, there are very clear and elaborate guidelines for producers or applicators of these pesticides to follow. All these guidelines are put together and communicated to the user by Bukola Chemical Industries Limited. Now, if the Bukola does not intervene with the farmer on how the product is used, then chances are the consumer may end up with contaminated food, and that is a problem. So it is so important to everyone out there that Bukola does its job and does it so well.
Bukola and companies like Bukola.
Yes.
Because I don't think you are the only one.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That we do the job so well that you have sufficient food of quality, but also safe for you to consume. So the issues we discuss here are everyone's concern.
So you are saying to the viewer that Bukola and the companies that produce those genuine and safe organic and inorganic inputs help to produce your favorite meal, your onions, your cabbage, your Irish potatoes,
your pineapple, your banana,
all those
everything.
foods
Yes.
are produced with a pesticide or a herbicide from manufacturers like you. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
So that's the more reason why viewers should now start paying more attention to companies like yours that don't make so much noise. We don't see you on the billboards. We don't hear too much about you, but you're actually extremely important in ensuring that we have food on the table. That's what I'm just discovering now.
Sure.
Okay, back to crop protection. You said that crop protection is important because we have disease everywhere. Okay, so two questions. Do diseases in plants cause disease to humans? That is one. Two, has the incidence of diseases increased or is it reducing? And is climate change a factor in this disease situation?
You're asking the kind of questions that we tend to hear in gatherings that are either scientific or gatherings that are
so we are intelligent, in other words.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
the first question about whether, the second question first, as to whether disease is increasing or climate change is a factor that is contributing to that, the answer is yes. The diseases are increasing in what we call severity, but also in the variety of these diseases. Severity is about the strength with which a disease attacks you. The pathogens are becoming more what we call virulent. They are becoming tougher. They are becoming more annoyed, and they are attacking our crops more and more now. Vigorously than before. Climate change has definitely contributed to some of what we see as new diseases. Because climate change is about, like we say, climate. And remember, the disease triangle has environment at one corner. So once the environment is favorable, then disease is going to break out easily. I'll tell you something. Taking an example of insect pests, we know for sure that the cycle of insect pests is influenced by temperature, especially those that lay eggs. You know you can have, I think viewers can easily relate with an egg. A fertilized egg from chicken,
the larva
a fertilized egg from chicken could spend 21 days and remain an egg. But the same fertilized egg from chicken, once given the ambient environment, the temperature that it requires, after 21 days, it will hatch into a chick. So the temperature has a bearing on the hatching of eggs and the length of the cycle. So you will see more populations, faster growing insect pests, and more virulent attacks or more vigorous attacks. So climate change has acted to create an environment that is conducive for pests.
So the warmer,
yes,
the warmer, if we cut the trees, the forests to clear for human settlement and developments, we're actually inviting a bigger growth into the number of pests.
Absolutely, because the other thing is also there are organisms that live comfortably in those kinds of environment, the forests and so much. So once you clear, you are taking away their home, and the alternative is to get into your crop. And we are expanding our gardens so much that we are also providing better and more food to the pests. So they migrate from wherever they are into our food. But now, the first question about whether diseases that attack crops could also attack human beings. No. Diseases that attack crops cannot or do not attack human beings. However,
but in animals, they can pass over.
Yes, because the animals and human beings are what we call animals.
The DNA.
And human beings, we are actually animals. If you look at the classification of human beings, we belong to kingdom Animalia, which essentially means we are animals. So we have a lot in common with the other animals. But with plants, these are totally different kingdoms. The plant kingdom is Plantae, the animal kingdom is Animalia. So they do not, they cannot attack human beings. But you see...
But how come we get food poisoning when we eat plants? We eat food which was...
The food poisoning is coming as a result of contamination, but not that whatever you found on food... Yes, for example, if you find salmonella, okay, in vegetables, the salmonella does not cause any disease. Exactly, the E. coli. It does not cause disease in either cabbage or your greens, what you eat in your salad. But in human beings, it will definitely be a problem. So the other side, they get contaminated, and this side, we get the food poisoning.
Bukola, I know it's not very comfortable for anybody to come here and admit that there's a problem or you have a crisis. But Bukola, you leading producer of so many well-known agrochemicals, just talk to us about, let the viewers know, what are those products, genuine products, premium products, high-quality products that you are producing that the viewers should watch out for, that are being faked? Just walk us through. I know you're taking measures, but we need to know what is it
which ones
about.
Yeah, sure. Yes. So we have quite a range of crop protection products, from products in categories of those that manage weeds, either when you're doing clearing or when you are doing what we call weeding. Those are called herbicides. We also have another category of
What are their names, those ones?
of the herbicides. Well, the list is quite long, but one of the most prominent ones is Weedmaster. It's a household brand at the moment. It's a product that has been around for quite some time, used by most farmers. And guess what? The counterfeiting culture also tends to target fast-moving brands, and one of the reasons is the market is quite huge for such products. Often people buy them quickly, and the analyzing of what, or the analysis of the product at the point of sale often doesn't happen. So it's quick purchase. People are used to the product, and it moves out really fast. So it's easy to get all crap, counterfeit, into the cycle or the route that products go through to the users. So that's what they target. So Weedmaster, again, is one product that we need to look out for when we are doing purchases. We have other products, like I mentioned, the range of insecticides, which control insect pests. There isn't really a huge problem there, because also some products are difficult to counterfeit, but certainly there is also an issue. The other category where there is also a big problem is the category of fungicides. We have a top fungicide brand called Indophil. It's a mancozeb-based fungicide, mostly used by farmers. If you have seen...
For tomatoes?
Yes. If you have seen farmers out there producing tomatoes, most, if not all of them, have actually used Indophil. It helps them prevent diseases like blight, which are quite a problem.
So that's the Indophil they put, and then it has a grayish thing?
You can't tell. You can't tell because of the issue of counterfeit.
Some people came here and were telling us that a lot of farmers, after harvest, they put, I think they mentioned mangozeb as the name. It has a grayish, whitish look, and then it's put on the tomato, apparently for increasing shelf life and so on. So that's your product as well.
Again, very poor practice. One, you cannot tell from a residue on a crop of which product actually it was. But out of very poor practice, that's why something like that is happening. I should also use this opportunity to set the record straight. Application of fungicides post-harvest does not contribute to making the shelf life of that produce any longer. Instead, it is disastrous. It is detrimental. It's quite a challenge to the consumers, because then you're eating residue, and the crop, once harvested, is unable to reduce. The residue doesn't break down. The chemical doesn't break down as it would while in the garden. But certainly now, because we are talking about an issue of products that we need to watch out for, and we talked about products that are fast moving as being the major targets for counterfeiting, then in that category, the fungicides that are used in producing such crops as tomatoes, especially vegetables, are also prey to counterfeit. And we also need to look out while we are purchasing mancozeb-based fungicides. Indophil, again, is one of those.
So it's a new year, Solomon. What new plans does Bukola Chemical Industries have? Is it going to be the old way you've been doing in 2020, or are there some new plans? Should farmers, consumers look forward and be happy that this time there's going to be a difference? What are you planning to do to check these fakes?
There's a lot of new stuff coming on. One, I need to draw my submission on this from the previous year. 2020 has been quite tough. It has changed many things. We strategized to do a lot, but unfortunately, being driven by the COVID pandemic, a lot has changed. So we have drawn most of what we had to do in 2020 forward. 2021 holds for us a lot of opportunities to do things differently. We are not only introducing new products, because we realize there are challenges that farmers face that have not found a solution, or that for which a solution does not exist, or for which apparently solutions on the market are not as effective and not probably as efficient, even the affordability. So we are bringing on board new products driven by new molecules to help farmers produce good crop, to ensure that we have food and we have safe food. But coming also in the direction of counterfeit. Unfortunately, last year was also a year where counterfeit has become more proliferous. There's been a lot of counterfeit. One, the COVID pandemic has also given opportunity to the counterfeiters to push the stuff in the market. You remember the time when we were under a very intense lockdown and movement was very restricted? We were lucky to be categorized essential services. So even when we remained in function, we were unable to reach as many farmers there as possible, or even some cultural input shops closed. So some counterfeiters went around purporting to bring products closer to the farmers, and that was a problem. Imports also were challenged, so that means there were gaps that facilitated counterfeits to come through. So we got lots of feedback and reports about counterfeit, and this hits the bottom of our hearts because these
and your bottom line.
of course our bottom line. But remember, we get our bottom line from a satisfied customer. So that means our primary is to satisfy the customer, and the rest will come through.
How this satisfied customer that you're talking about, can they differentiate between your product and the fake one?
Now,
the imitation.
That's again a huge challenge, because as we speak, the counterfeiters have gotten ground or have used the opportunity.
Have been allowed.
Yes.
By you.
I will call it an opportunity. They've used an opportunity, and I don't want to say by us, because the ecosystem has a lot of players, which players, each of whom have a certain responsibility to play. And I think later on, I hope we'll get a chance to elaborate on this. So using the opportunity to get the stuff into the market definitely is going to cause a farmer out there, an unsuspecting farmer, to buy this product, use it, and as they use it, the feeling is they're using a product from Bukola because they have been deceived. Counterfeiting is about deception, okay? You are meant to think that what you're buying is genuine. What you're buying is what comes from the source. So you buy, you use, it doesn't work, the blame goes straight to where to the source.
The consumer experience.
Exactly.
Suffers.
So it's quite an issue to us. And getting back to the question of what are we going to do in 2021? The thing is, we want to call all stakeholders who have a role to play in the fight against counterfeit to a more directed discussion on how we handle this together. Counterfeiting is not going to happen when Bukola, for example, alone comes out to say, I'm fighting counterfeit. No. The regulators have a role to play, and that is government. The farmer has a role to play, a very huge role. I'll tell you that one of the drivers of counterfeit has been the practice of selling empty pesticide containers by farmers. I mentioned that Weedmaster is one of the products that we need to look out for. So this is a product which we have tried as much as possible to protect and to communicate to the user that this is how the genuine looks like. But the counterfeiters have duplicated what we have tried to do, and it is very hard to now tell the difference. Okay? So, but if we understand the drivers of what is happening, that gives us an opportunity now to begin to strategize on how we get into the control. So these bottles are sold by farmers. Remember, by practice and technically, empty pesticide containers are not supposed to be reused for any purpose. The guidance is, once you have finished using the pesticide and the container is empty, triple rinse it. Rinse it 3 times. The first time, you pour whatever is the water that you're using to rinse out the bottle into the sprayer. The second time and the third time. After, punch holes into the container, and after punching holes, you can now safely keep the plastic into a collection point. The collection point now is what, again, we have an association of importers of crop protection products and distributors in the country. That is what now CropLife Uganda is thinking strategically on. How do we now retrieve those empty pesticide containers which have been treated as directed, such that we can use them for such things as making conduit pipes, because you cannot use an empty pesticide container, for example, to make a plastic plate or a cup or a bottle for drinking water. No, because pesticide is said to become part of the container over time. And there's no amount of rinsing that can take it out. Yes. So if we ensure that we are managing empty pesticide containers, we are contributing, and that is a role.
But we are not, because in the countryside, the Jajjas, the Sengas, you'll go, they are fetching water in a bucket. It was for paint.
Yeah.
It was for pesticides.
Some of them are even using them to keep salt.
Yes. So you talked about normalcy, which for us here is one of the drivers in the Dankani acronym for counterfeits. It's normal. Everybody has gotten used to this. Even the disposal, I think you need to do much, much more to inform, educate the population on how to handle and dispose of these containers. But you said everybody has to play a role. If I was speaking as government, I would say, but we gave you the agriculture police. How many cases has Bukola as a company reported to the police, agriculture police? How many prosecutions have been done? How many are successful?
Fred, this is quite complicated. Getting into the discussion of how much has been successful in that direction, putting up a system and not giving the system the opportunity to operate will not deliver results. The infrastructure is present. At least we have something. It may not be adequate, but there is something.
So you say the agriculture police doesn't operate? So
the agriculture police is in place. I'm not saying it doesn't operate, but it is in place. There are several controls in place, including the regulations with the Act and its attendant regulations. There is a set of inspectors and a whole commission at the Ministry of Agriculture and Modern Industry. In fact, the Department of Crop Inspection and Certification. But
are they effective? Let me ask a direct question.
The answer is no. There are challenges.
They are not effective.
There are challenges, yes.
So what do they need to do to be more effective?
Well, there's quite a lot. Diagonizing the issues that the regulators are facing will help us answer that question better. But what we know already is that the facilitation of what these colleagues require to ensure that they are able to play the very important role is one of the aspects that
it is one thing.
Yes.
And maybe for the viewers here, you need to know that we have invited officials from the Ministry of Agriculture, even somebody from Agriculture Police to come and explain to you what they are doing, what they are not doing, why they are not doing it, where are the challenges, where is the improvement that is needed to be done, when is it going to be done. So we are hoping that they will be able to honor our invitation and come and explain why the rampant increase in fakes in agricultural inputs, whereas we have the police and all these regulatory bodies. Now let's talk a bit about, as we conclude, let's talk a bit about, I know you said there are organic chemicals, pesticides and so on, but you know very well that Uganda has been having a row with Kenya over certain island. When I did some research, I don't know whether it's correct.
The Mijingo Island?
Yes, I was told that actually the row is overfishing, and the fishing has a relationship with the heavy use of pesticides and herbicides in Western Kenya, which get washed into Lake Victoria. So that what happens, the Kenyan fish now runs to the Uganda side, running away from the chemicals you make. So now Kenya wants that portion of Mijingo, mainly because of fishing. To what extent are these pesticides affecting the fishing industry? And is that version true, the one I gave?
I'm not sure of the detail of the story and the row around the island, but the fact that there is, that I can confirm, is that most pesticides are toxic to fish. And if you look at the pesticide label, it is often mentioned that do not apply this pesticide near water bodies, streams, ponds, where you expect fish to be. And there are also further guidelines to allow someone in proximity of such bodies to apply while lessening the drift of pesticide to such areas. But certainly...
Is that so, really?
Yeah, sure.
I see the flower farms, they're near the lake, and they use heavy herbicides and pesticides.
That means, that's why I mentioned that there are guidelines put in place to lessen the drift. If you have also noted that flower farms are actually mostly in greenhouse. So the use of chemicals because of the greenhouse is low. The chemicals may be toxic because inherently they are, but there is a certain level of containment.
So isn't that the work of the Agriculture Chemical Board? Is it there by the way? You sit on that board? Or?
Yeah, I happen to sit on the Agriculture Chemicals Board.
So what are you doing to stop the escape of these chemicals, pesticides, into the water bodies, which affects fish?
The Agriculture Chemicals Board is the body that the Act allows to be in place to help with the regulation of pesticides. One of its, or some of its major roles are to register all pesticides and dealers and to ensure that pesticides are also used well. They also have the duty to issue, suspend and revoke such registrations. So if you are unable to adhere to practices set, then you could lose such a registration. So it works with other establishments like the Agricultural Chemicals Control Committee, Agricultural Chemicals Technical Committee, which does the technical advice, or that the board consults for technicalities around pesticides. So the question about what the SCB is doing, the Agricultural Chemicals Board is doing, is in the first place, before anyone uses a product, or before you can get to the use, before a product is used in the country, the Agricultural Chemicals Board must ensure that it has undergone rigorous testing and that it is safe enough given the practices around it that must happen during the application have all taken place, that the pesticide has been tried. The period that is given for such trials is 1.5 years, while this product is being assessed in the field to see if it delivers and also to check whether it has any such negative effects. So any product that has been registered by the Agricultural Chemicals Board is something that the board has carefully looked at. So that is a very key role. It also assesses the dealer, the person who is going to import and distribute this product. Do you have the requisite knowledge? Do you have the necessary tools? Do you have all whatever you need to ensure that you handle this product in a manner that maintains or preserves its integrity? So through that, the board is able to ensure that products that are less disastrous or that could be a problem do not end up on the market.
Yeah, but Solomon, this board is not really effective also, because our investigation teams have also seen a lot of unlicensed and unregistered chemicals. They are being sold by hawkers, you know, on the street. There are so many companies that are importing many of these pesticides, chemicals. They are not licensed, they are not known. And this has gone on forever, almost. So this is a new year again, Agricultural Chemical Board. Is it the same way, old way? Are you promising, because now you are the board, you speak on behalf of the board. Are you promising something? Do we have hope? Is there a reason to celebrate in the new year that at least, at long last, we are now going to have less infiltration of these fake chemicals, more control, more regulation?
Well, I'm a member of the board, but I also do not speak for the board or on behalf of the board. The views that I give are personal views and are out of an assessment of what I see. But what I'll tell you as a person that sits on that board is that certainly there are things happening in the background. We expect that the regulation of pesticides is only going to get better. Currently, as I speak, of course, you've had people saying the law is insufficient, the law is weak. The regulations are currently being reviewed with more stringent measures being introduced. The same board and the ministry at large are also working with the other East African partner states to harmonize guidelines for regulation of pesticides from both synthetic and the organics. So there is a lot better that is going to happen. Like I mentioned, 2021, certainly we are going to see different things happen. We are also lobbying to ensure that we have sufficient funding for the activity that relates to enforcement of the law. We are looking at how we can now work with private sector as well, part of the board. How do we work with private sector to ensure that we all participate in fighting counterfeit? That's why I mentioned that this journey of fighting counterfeit has many stakeholders that are participating. In fact, we are already excited to be working with SCN.
I know you've just signed up something.
Yes, by mere fact that we are able to say, look, there is a body that is genuinely out there looking out for farmers to ensure that counterfeit, the vice, is fought. That spells to me, that spells a bright future, because I also know certainly SCN is not a body that is going to be joking or that jokes around with some of these issues.
We've been at this for more than 15 years.
We have seen you take very serious steps, and we are very confident that partnering with people like SCN, organizations like SCN, certainly the future is
Time is up,
promising.
but I can't let you go without talking about crop life. I don't know whether you're the current chair or you're executive member. You've been talking of funding, we need resources. Millions of dollars are poured in crop life every year, but too little to be shown. How is that?
Well, again, to set the record straight, there are not millions of dollars. Of course,
Okay.
there's money.
Billions of shillings.
There's money we get as an association. So Crop Life is an apex body. It's an association that brings together importers, manufacturers, importers, distributors of crop protection products in the country. Our mandate is basically stewardship. We want to be sure that the products that are imported, the journey that they take until they are used is such a journey that there has been effective and sufficient management for them not to cause any undesirable effects. So even talking about things like counterfeit, talking about the empty pesticide containers, talking about the actual application, I know you've had discussions and the viewers have had such complicated terms as residues, chemical residues, pesticide residues. All those are quite a concern to us. So currently, I've been re-elected. I'm happy 2021.
You are the president.
Has opened up very brightly for me as an individual. I have been re-elected as the chairman of the association. So these 3 years will also see us again come now as Crop Life into this arrangement, the organization, lead of the journey, again
yes.
with SCN, to see how do we together as stakeholders strategize on how we reduce the prevalence of counterfeit. Yes, the incidence of counterfeit.
Okay, my producer says it's time up. I know it's a holiday today, but we are busy working. Can you have a parting shot to the viewers? Specifically, what do you want to tell them about a counterfeit-free New Year? So,
well, to the viewers, and I want to thank you already for braving the so many minutes we've been at this discussion. But I'll tell you certainly that fighting counterfeit is a journey. I'll call it a journey because you won't rip everything out in a go. It's a journey that every one of us has
a role to play.
Yes, has to participate. In fact, literature that has been put out directly talking about how legislation should be targeting more stakeholders in this counterfeit phenomena is we need also to be looking out for people that offer venues or accommodation for counterfeiters to carry out the practice. If you are, for example, a landlord and you have a building, it is your responsibility to establish what
business.
Yes, what your what business the tenant
doing.
Yes, if they are doing counterfeit, you are.
That's a criminal activity.
That's a criminal
and
activity.
Therefore, you are liable.
Yes,
for facilitating.
So wherever you are, you could be a landlord, you could be a consumer of produce, you could be a farmer, you could be an agricultural input dealer. In fact, you could be a counterfeiter listening in That's why we are not even talking mostly about how do you identify a counterfeit from genuine, because they listen in, and as you
They are
close,
watching now.
yes, and actually they watch. So as you close the gaps,
And what food do they eat? Just to ask. Do
the
they
same
have a
food.
special market where their food
it
is?
still goes back to them.
So it's because of ignorance.
Ignorance.
They don't know about the concealed dangers
Yes.
of counterfeits.
So
That's
2021, we will be reaching out to all to call upon everyone to join us in this fight against counterfeit. If you have information about where counterfeiting activity is happening, if you have bought counterfeit before, or you have information about whatever, something happening around counterfeit, suspicious activity, please let us know. I mean, we've talked about so many organizations which are coming together. Information can come to SCN, information can come to CropLife. In fact, we'll be glad getting this information as a company, Bukola Chemical Industries Limited. Ministry is always open to get this information and to ensure that we all put together our effort and curb this.
And close this. Yes. Okay, thank you, Solomon, very much for taking the time on such a big holiday, it's New Year today, for coming here to share with us and tell us what we need to do to make sure that we have safe food on our tables. We would like to say Happy New Year
Sure.
and prosperous New Year 2021 to everyone from wherever you are watching us. We promise in the new year to continue giving you more and more information. We shall invite more and more people to come and speak to you because your safety is paramount. It is important. We would like to keep you informed, and as a consumer, if you are informed, then you are empowered. Thank you for viewing us. We appreciate your feedback, and this is a time you've already made New Year resolutions. Our appeal from the League of the Genuine include in the resolutions a resolution to have a counterfeit-free 2021. As we go out, we would like to appeal for peace, calm, quiet. We're heading into elections. Please go and cast your vote. Elect a candidate of your choice. Do it peacefully. We hope together have a prosperous and successful 2021.